Rengar, there's that Jace span coming in from Curse. So we'll see. Skarner still left open for the time being. Zilean still left open for now. So we'll see where Fnatic goes from here on their last final ban, heading into what could potentially be the last game in the series. Fnatic needs to win this in order to go to game number 3 if they want to have a chance to stay alive and get this last qualifying spot.
Yeah, that is going to be key, and it will be kind of tough for a team like an EU team to move into that live qualifier. So that is still a possibility, but with all the teams that we're potentially going to see at the live qualifier, I mean, there's still a couple of big NA teams and some Asian teams that might be interested in that spot. That could be kind of difficult. So this may very well be their last chance. I mean, it is as far as the EU qualifiers are concerned, but I don't know, we'll see where they go. Orianna being banned off, that was kind of a difficult pick against Curse the previous game because, Curse was able to win the mid lane. Extinct did a really nice job, but then also had the kind of kiting potential and whatnot. But as a result, Fnatic, they get that first pick, Skarner, and that's been a really coveted pick for a long time.
But Lee Sin is also open here, so we may say Curse grab him up. We may also see Curse grab either the Zyra or the Blitz, just to make sure that Fnatic doesn't have him. Is it going to be the AP Eve mid, or we could also see a Fiddle coming in somewhere? That would be interesting. I haven't seen him in a while.
They could, like you said, grab the Zyra just for mid.
Yeah.
Just to keep it off of the support's hands, and it is a very strong mid champion. So, Zyra is still really strong. We'll kind of see where they're going. A couple of people have been using Fiddle. Fiddle's definitely an interesting pick. I know Orb, they've actually been using Fiddle on the NA side. I haven't seen any EU teams using Fiddle. He's kind of fallen off for a long time. But Ezreal and Shen are probably the two strongest champs left.
Now,
as far as just safety.
Was it Curse.NA that did the Fiddle support? I can't remember.
Yes, Curse has done Fiddle support. So has M5. M5 did it a couple of months ago. But Orb actually was using Fiddle in the jungle, so he's kind of been making his way back as far as that's concerned.
Ezreal going to be secured for Curse once again going in game number 2, but they will grab the Shen this time around. There is the Zyra going to be more than likely in the support once again for Fnatic, and it's just a matter of picking a different AD this time. Sivir didn't quite exactly work out. Draven would be a very high-risk option, but Corki's pretty decent. He is part of that holy trinity of ADs. Ezreal, Corki, and the last one being Graves, the top 3 ADs at the moment, and that will be the Corki pick. So Corki Zyra, more than likely going to be in that bot lane.
Yeah, I really like the Corki pick, and I was saying that a second ago, how Corki, or the Sivir did work out in the previous game, but the issue with Sivir is the lack of mobility. Even if she does have a lot of movement speed from both her passive and her ultimate, it leaves her a little bit vulnerable in fights, whereas Corki has a lot more upfront damage. And Corki's burst, Corki's AoE is really strong as well, and then also he gets burst in lane if Zyra is able to pick someone up. Corki can try and pick up a kill.
Ooh, Sona and Lulu being picked up here. Where the hell is Lulu gonna go?
Mid Lulu, or maybe top Lulu with the jungle Shen. They have a couple of options here. I'm guessing it's going to be a mid Lulu. There is a concern with their team comp, though, and it is a very interesting comp, but it will lack a lot of damage late game. Like, late game, they're really going to fall off. Mid game, they could be unstoppable with how much shielding presence they have and everything. That's going to be really dangerous for them. So as a result, Fnatic, they definitely want a team that can kind of hold off a little bit, but still has really strong late game presence. So Jace being banned, there are a couple of options, for both their mid and their top. They could go with the Diana just to win the early game. The only concern is in team fights, Diana against the shields might not be able to pick up those kills. I don't know, so we'll kind of see what XPK is going to look for.
I'm still just kind of flabbergasted, actually, a little bit just at those picks, because those are also just quick lock-ins. Like, Curse, we know what we're doing. Sona, Lulu, we want you. Go. Anivia and Rumble going to be the last 2 picks here for Fnatic.
I really like these picks because Anivia, she can be really strong early on in the game, but she also allows them to stall very easily into that late game where they should be able to beat Curse right now just by looking at Curse's comp. We'll see how Curse is going to round it out. They really, they kind of need to consider having a really high damage champion to turn this around. So someone like Vladimir could work, or if they had a really strong bruiser. But you know what? I think they have an understanding of what they're doing. So we'll try and...
We'll trust them.
We'll trust them, but we'll try and figure out what they're trying to do with this comp. So Fnatic, they know they can stall, but they also have a lot of really strong early game. Rumble, his AoE control in fights is going to be awesome, but Anivia is one of the best champions in the game at holding off and just stalling games. So we'll kind of see what happens there.
Kale being considered for the last pick on Curse. Nocturne's there also. So we have Nocturne in jungle, Shen top, and yeah, Lulu mid, as we've been thinking about before. Is that going to be it? Yes.
Yeah, so it is going to be a Lulu mid, and that's really interesting. So the concern is, as the game progresses, Curse might not have enough damage in order to win these fights. You know, that's going to be kind of something they're going to struggle with as the game gets really late. However, early on in the game, they could be really just unstoppable because it's going to be so difficult to kill them. It'd be kind of similar to a Zilean pick, where it's that support AP mid. You know, Lulu, she does have nice poke damage. She has a decent amount of burst damage, but really her only damaging ability, her only serious damaging ability is her Glitter Lance. The rest of it you usually use for defense. So that means that they're going to have someone like Shen or Nocturne be incredibly tanky early on in the game. And so the burst damage from Shen and Nocturne is pretty solid. Nocturne's sustained damage is actually kind of a little bit low. He has a little bit of burst damage, but his sustained damage isn't that great. But it will kind of protect them. They're going to have nice long fights. They're going to be able to dive in very aggressively. And as long as Creatine has enough farm, then they should be able to take control of those fights. Yeah. But the key is getting Ezreal farm, because they're really heavily reliant on Ezreal's damage.
Yeah, and we also saw in a few fights in game number 1, Creatine actually caught himself a little bit out of position in some of the earlier fights, so that is a concern. But I'm curious most right now about Extinct and mid Lulu. We're going to be seeing here Magic Pen, AP, Mana Regen, same as last time, 21-0 and 9, looking for a. This is going to be the most painful glitter you'll ever see in your life. It's going to get all up in your eyes, and you're going to swallow a little bit. It's going to be just all painful all around. There's like no faucet will be able to save you. Malunu, is he going defensive again? Yes. 9-21-0 on the Nocturne. So he's looking to be a very tanky jungler once again.
Yeah, that's interesting. Usually on Nocturne, you go a little bit more offensive so you can get those quick jungling clear speeds, but he knows he needs to be really tanky early on because they need him to be very aggressive in those team fights so he can just dive in, get Lulu ulted, get Shen ulted. And so it's going to be, I don't know, they're going to be really reliant on him. We'll see how that kind of factors in. It's going to be tough to take him down with all those shields, but they have plenty. Fnatic has plenty of damage, and that's one of the strengths of Corki is just the shredding and everything. He's going to be able to burst people down really quickly. Zyra as well will help, and then Rumble. So it's going to be dangerous for Curse. Like I'm really curious to see how this is going to work out. Curse is going to be able to be very aggressive early on. They're going to have great tower diving potential. They have a lot of kill potential, particularly with Nocturne coming out of the jungle. Then you follow it up with a Shen ultimate on him. They can pick up some tower kills. But I don't know. We'll see if they can't push aggressively enough or take enough of an early advantage, then Fnatic should be able to pull away with it.
So at what point in the game, like what time frame?
I couldn't even tell you. It's such an unusual strategy that it's really hard to pinpoint. It really, a lot of it just depends on how much of a gold lead they can try and build up, or if I'm just completely off base on this. But
this is a very unusual situation.
Yeah, they have really strong lanes. Shen versus Rumble. Shen should win that lane. Yep. Rumble's a little bit weak early on. Shen's going to be able to bully him around. And so early on, Shen's going to win, be able to pressure Rumble out of lane. Then Rumble, his sustained damage should be able to turn it around. He could maybe get some kills, but Angus should probably play that pretty safely. And then once Shen gets really beefy as well, Rumble's just not going to be able to do anything. So Shen can try and shut down Rumble in the top lane. Lulu mid. Lulu is a very strong laner. Shouldn't really be able to affect Anivia, though. It'll primarily turn into a free farm lane. They'll both just be kind of AoE clearing the minions in order to kind of counter each other out. Sona and Ezreal, we saw it in the previous game. It is a very strong harass lane. As long as they can keep out of those Zyra snares. And N-Rated was hitting all of them the previous game. So that's kind of key. N-Rated, they can try and go for a kill bottom. It's a little bit more of a kill lane for Fnatic, but it is a really strong lane for Curse. So you see Curse has very strong lanes. They have very safe lanes as well. They're hard lanes to gank. And that could allow Nocturne to try and roam around and have a big influence on that game.
But you saw, game number 1, though, granted Malunu was on Xin Zhao. He did get pretty far behind to start. And if he has a rough start game number 2, like he did game number 1, it may be a little bit more dangerous for Nocturne to try and come back. Because at least with Xin, you get in, you get your 1, 2, 3. You're going to have enough backup from just your team to ensure you get that third hit. Nocturne, you're diving right on into the middle of everyone. You pop that ult, and that's going to be kind of rough to get your fear tethers in. A little bit rougher to try and start those fights, but we'll see. And of course, Creatine going with the best Ezreal skin out there, Striker Ezreal. going to be coming on in with that Sona down there in the bot lane.
Yeah, we'll kind of see how they can pressure it. I am interested, though. At Fnatic, I feel like they're in a great situation where they can just buy a little bit of armor and just completely shut down all of Curse's damage. Like, if Cyanide gets off to an early start, he can try and pick people off. It's going to be kind of difficult because I think Curse will be able to kite them some and they'll be able to shield. So there's not going to be anyone that's going to be dying that quickly. But if they pick someone off, that's a one fight for them. And they can play kind of defensively with Anivia and Zyra and Kite. But once they get armor in particular, and Skarner gets any armor, it's going to be really difficult for Curse to take him down.
And you saw how quickly Fnatic actually started itemizing into Guardian Angels in game number 1. So if they are with the same efficiency on that purchase here in game number 2, yes, it could actually really hurt. It could just shut down most of what Curse is trying to dish out. But we will see how it goes. Game number 2 underway. If Curse does win this one, though, they will get that last qualifying spot for the EU for IPL5. If Fnatic wants to take it to game 3, they gotta win this one. And right now, all Fnatic, they're meandering on down to the bot. They may be looking for a little bit of a peek into the blue buff area.
They might be going for the blue from the lower tri-brush, and that's actually a common ganking route to get up to the blue. So it seems like that's what they're doing, but they also have kind of defensive position around their red since they don't want to lose their red. They saw that Curse was able to take that in the previous game. Actually, Fnatic came in the previous game to steal the red. But we'll kind of see how they're going to go.
Everyone's in the bush. Ezreal, he's standing guard up on the ramp. And we guys have his vision perspective here too, just to see who comes in. And actually, all of Curse, they have their point defense coming on, and nearly every entrance is covered to some extent. But right now, the biggest threat, if Ezreal does get caught, if he's sleeping, if Cretan is just caught sleeping just for an errant moment, that could actually be a really bad spot. Just got to see if Anivia can actually go for that Flash Frost first. Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Yeah, that's really hard, though. I mean, I can't imagine that Ezreal's going to get caught out of position. But we've seen Ezreal's go up for the blue, try and flash over the wall, fail flashes because of the pressure of an invade. So, anything could happen.
Anything could happen, but you do have Corki actually heading top lane. Is he? I think he might.
Yeah, I think he is. So he's waiting for that 4th health pot, so he's going to get 4 health pots, then head up into the top lane.
Fnatic now looking to move on in, staying within the shadows. Sona and Ezreal grabbing up on the Wolves. Nocturne is going to be starting up on the red.
I wonder. I think they're going to Rumble and Zyra bottom. I don't think they're completely switching lanes.
Oh, this would be a very strange thing. And Raiden coming on in, gets the snare only onto the blue buff. Creatin is in retreat, forced the flash out from Sona, looking for more damage. XPK cannot get what he wants. Fnatic has successfully scared Curse, but will that keep them from getting this blue buff? You do see Mono has actually come on in. The Fnatic's looking for the steal. They're trying to grab a Flash Rush, will not get a stun on there. Cyanide is tanking this. Who got it? Malunu does still get his own blue buff. You got the nice smite coming on in, and Fnatic's attempt to steal this blue has failed. Candy Panda up in the top lane, going up against Anguish. Will Rumble be staying here in bot?
Yeah, and Zyra is going to be going up top. So it is a lane swap, and that's actually something we haven't seen a lot of out of the EU scene. A lot of the EU teams, they haven't been going for those lane swaps as heavily as the NA scene has. Yeah. It's basically every game in the NA scene. You kind of almost expect it in like 50% of the games. But it is an interesting situation because Ezreal and Sona is a very difficult lane to 1v2 against. However, it's not a very strong pushing lane. And Rumble, he already expected he was going to lose against Shen. Like, that's a really tough matchup for Rumble. So, instead of going in that matchup, they just decide to switch. Cyanide's actually really struggling in the jungle. His smite is down, and he couldn't take the red. So Cyanide is way behind at this point in time. He should be able to catch up pretty quickly, but that's a massive disadvantage for Fnatic.
Balloon is already level 3. Cyanide is still
is he going for the
level
blue?
1. I think he knows he has plenty of time. He knows the position he's in. He might as well just go for it. And this is huge.
I think he recognized that Cyanide might be going for the red, which, might leave him open because this is like around the point in time he would recall.
Anguish, he has a pretty decent shield to come in, protect against all the harass coming in. But you see, Malunu, he's waiting. I think he's actually just trying to bide his time. Cyanide actually came back from base. He is now at full health. And now, Malunu is actually coming in here for an attempted gank here on the top lane. Anguish, he's got his taunt, does not get the taunt down to end range, but the Fear Tethers are still there through the flash. Mono looking for damage. Can he actually get the kill on the end rated? Yes, first blood. Going to Nocturne here up in the top lane. Moludu, you're my boy. Good job there.
Man, he is so beefy with those defensive masteries and some of those defensive runes. He's so tanky, and then having the red buff, he's easily able to win that. Candy Panda, he's going to have the Valkyrie, but not for another couple of seconds, so he has to get out of there. But really nice job from Maluna early on, and this kind of Nocturne build, even though he's not getting in his items yet, you know, it's allowed him to be very aggressive. So we'll see. It's a nice early advantage for them, and with Cyanide already so far behind, he might be able to pressure it some.
And I feel for Soaz here down in the bot lane too, because in comparison to Farm, to these his opposing solo laner, he's very far behind in Farm. It's rough. It's rough for Rumble to 2v1, like, period.
They're going to be able to completely zone him because it's such a long lane.
It's frozen already.
He's trying to get in range for experience. He just wants to barely get the experience because he knows he's not going to get the gold. He peeks out just to barely get that cannon. Minion. But it's such a long lane. They're able to completely zone him because he's so weak early on. So it's really a difficult situation for Fnatic right now, and they're not able to take advantage of the top lane because already Maluno is able to gank up top. And usually, if you would have a normal jungling route, you expect Skarner to be there at that time. Like normally in a normal situation, if they hadn't gone for the invade, that's when Skarner would be top to counter off the Nocturne gank and just not allow him to do that. But as a result of Skarner being behind and as a result of that early blue, they're able to get in there. Barely getting it. Barely
getting the red on the second attempt. Jeez. Malunu is 1 level ahead of Cyanide. Anguish is 3 levels ahead of Soaz. Coming with the taunt. Candy Panda has the Valkyrie out of there. So low. Curse is abusing Fnatic nearly across the board here. This is insane.
He barely survived there. The next taunt from Anguish, if he was a little bit higher health, he could almost consider a flash taunt or something. Pick up the kill very quickly, but he will be able to back off. So, Corki and Zyra, they're able to take a slight advantage in that lane, but not the kind of advantage they were hoping for, particularly considering how abused Soaz is in the bot lane. But finally, they're able to push in. So Curse pushes down into the bottom lane. That's going to open up Soaz to hopefully farm a little bit, though you can see he's still pressured underneath the turret. Sona's able to just peek in, attack him a little bit, and then back off, and so he's not able to get up and farm.
Yep, and you see here that he's actually still looking to max out his Q first. He still wants that damage, and this is a strange situation for Rumble, because sometimes, in your situation like this, like Anguish, he's actually still building for damage, but he's in the proper position to do so. He's leveling up that Q first.
And that's just how you're going to build every game, this Rumble. You need to get the Flame Spitter damage out so you can do anything a little bit later on.
If you max out that shield, you're screwed. You're going to have no damage when fights come in. And you got Skarner, who's actually wandering on bot. He's considering it. Cyanide, he wants to come around and grab that gank. He's going to get something. Exhaust going down onto the Ezreal, but he will flash out of there. Flash coming from Sona also. Skarner's not going to be able to get anything. Anguish does get out of there. Will the Ignite be in more than enough? Candy Panda coming on in is grabbing turret aggro, but the Fear Tethers will not proc. Flash over the wall. Good kill from Corki, actually, here in the top lane.
Yeah, really nice job. That's what they needed. They needed to be able to take down Shen, just get some sort of advantage. They will be able to drop the turret. And we talked about that a second ago. Ezreal and Sona, they're not a very good pushing lane. So already, Candy Panda and N-Rated have an advantage there. Maluna, he wants the kill. The snare from Zyra, the heal from Candy Panda. They're actually going to pick that up. The Phosphorus Bomb, it makes it work. So baiting him in with the heal, that is awesome. So Candy Panda, off to a good start. N-Rated getting that kill, but they're also going to be able to drop this tower, after they go back. So they're going to have to recall now, but they'll be able to drop the tower hopefully shortly, and then be able to lane swap again, and that's going to be a nice early advantage.
Zyra support still does a pretty good amount of damage, and Candy Panda, wonderful for him, got a kill to his credit. So he's going to be edging out the Ezreal in the other lane in farm just for a little while. Let's also take a look at mid lane too. Actually got Extinct actually grabbing the blue buff here. It's got a pretty decent farm lead, actually over XPK here. It's about 20 creeps already.
Yeah, and sometimes it can be difficult to farm as Anivia compared with the number of other champions early on. That'll probably even out once Anivia gets blue in particular, starts getting some AoE, but we'll see. Having the 2v1 top, it actually helps them protect Anivia's blue a little bit, so they're probably not going to want to swap until after that exchange happens. So that's not for another 2 minutes almost, because Skarner started off, he got the blue so late in the game. Usually you would expect it at 9 minutes, but it probably won't be up until like 10 minutes. But we'll see. They'll probably swap after Anivia gets the blue, and that'll help Anivia farm.
Yeah, it was a late blue for Cyanide. It was a super late red for Cyanide too. Actually almost died going for the second attempt on that thing too. But he's doing okay, all things considered. He's only about 300 gold behind very early on. He's still actually managing to contribute too in ganks. You saw him being aggressive down in the bot lane. But here comes Extinct though. Going to be edging on in, but we'll be meeting the Zyra. There is ward coverage in River. We'll see it. Actually getting some harass down here in the lane, but Candy Panda's not too far away, throwing missiles over from above the ridge. Extinct has no choice but to pop the wall grip, but here comes Balunu actually being popped up here as he's going on in. Angish looking for some damage, does get the kill on it to the Corki. Zyra with binds over the wall, and you got the ult. And you got the wall. English still behind. Cannot get the taunt down on Desire. You got then rated very low. Cyanide very low, but Curse cannot get the damage for the kill. XP flashing on over. Gonna get the kill onto Extinct. Speed buff.
Diving Rumble bottom as well. It seems like they're having enough damage.
They got it.
They're able to poke in and out. They're actually trading her, damage on Super Rays and Creaton. Creaton almost going down.
Nice.
But actually Angish is able to come in from the backside, pick up N-rated, and that's actually a really nice exchange for Curse. They're also going to be able to potentially drop the bot turret. So a huge gold swing in their favor.
Yep, and this is also a blue delayed. Fnatic, they still have yet to pick it up here. So and they may delay the lane swap just for a little while longer, and XPK is not going to have that buff. He's going to have a much rougher time here farming the mid. Cyanide getting very low just defending his own tower. That Shen is still a huge threat here. Angish doing very well here in the 2v1.
Yeah, and right now you saw the advantage of Curse's team. They can kind of bait in fights very effectively. Lulu was just a little bit too tanky, where Fnatic, they thought they had the advantage, but they weren't able to pick up the kills. So, that's what Curse needs. They need to take early advantages in this game, because, if the game goes a little bit too long, they're just not going to have enough damage for Fnatic. But right now they're doing perfectly. They're doing exactly what they need to be doing. They have a 2k gold lead, and they're going for the dragon as well. So they're in perfect position, but Anivia and Corki are trying to come in for it. Moluno is fairly low. He is able to pick up that dragon and get out of there. So it looks like they're going to be able to retreat. Those Super Rays is very low as well, but they're in good position to get out.
XPK is out of mana though. He's got practically nothing, trying to still continue on in this fight, but Curse, they do manage to get out of there relatively safely. Fnatic just cannot come in and follow up with a kill. Angish now wandering here down towards the mid lane, but you are leaving Soaz to his own devices. This is an opportunity for him to catch back up, which, considering how denied he was in the 2v1 bot lane, I'm not sure if this is something you want to do.
Well, he's going to be denied even more in the 1v1 top lane now that he's so far behind, because he's a full level behind. Shen has red buff still for another minute now, and Shen is just going to be so tanky. He's going to be able to dive onto Rumble and kill him. He's only using it to clear out the minions.
Yeah, he just wants to make sure he pushes the lane.
Soaz knows he needs to hit the turret, because otherwise Angish, he was going to try and tank it outside of the turret and stall it, which is what he's doing right now. And so by doing that, he's going to be, his minions are going to meet the minions there, and he can just perpetually zone Rumble out of that lane. And that's a really dangerous situation for Soaz. He's just so far behind at this point.
XPK now has that blue buff, can have a little bit of an easier time farming there in the mid. Ward going down in front of the blue buff. XPK does get very low to some of the harass, but realizing now that the blue buff is actually gone, but that's still a very good offensive ward to have at this point in the game, just to see if anyone is wandering on up, especially Skarner, who can clear distances pretty well. Moluno's ult is also up, but he did go back, buying up a little bit, and Sona ult not grabbing Candy Panda. He Valkyrie'd out just in time, but N-rated is still looking for the kill, wants damage onto Ezreal, throwing down the ultimate, will still be popped up, is still ignited. You got the play coming in, but here comes Shen with the ultimate. You get the quick burst down onto Zyra. The passive will not get the kill onto Ezreal, and the ignite 2-1, last tick. Angish getting credit on that one. Very well organized from Curse, and here's Molina 2 for a little bit extra push. And they may get some more damage here on this bot turret, but I think actually they're going to just decide to back on this.
Curse is really outplaying Fnatic right now. They're able to bait that in beautifully with the Shen ultimate. Ezreal was safe in the backline, so even though Zyra was able to try and pick off Ezreal, Corki was a little bit too low, and Sona was able to zone Corki. So Super Rays was zoning Corki, preventing him from getting onto Ezreal. They're able to turn that around. It does allow Soaz to catch up a little bit. He is catching up in farm. He's catching up in levels as well, which is the key thing.
Yes.
So he's 2 levels behind Shen. So he's fallen behind.
He's 2,000 gold behind Shen. That is massive.
He's in such a terrible situation because Shen has Sunfire as well. And Sunfire, it basically means that Rumble cannot lane against him. Like, Shen can just dive onto Rumble repeatedly and force him out of the lane, which is probably what we're going to see in a second here. If not, it seems like Soaz is going to try and play defensively, and Angish is just going to maybe zone him off the waves.
So he hasn't even gotten his revolver yet. That's how far behind he is. It's run the 14th minute. Rumble does not have a revolver yet. That is
And Fnatic,
absurd.
they weren't able to take the top turret when they did the lane swap.
No.
So they didn't get that advantage there either. It is kind of low, but their bottom turret's low as well. Lulu coming in, the Nocturne ult onto XPK with the knockup. Maluno is tanking that turret like a boss, and that's what we were talking about, how tanky they would be with the Shen ultimate, with the Lulu ultimate. They're not quite able to pick up the kill, but they do egg XPK. So, you know, maybe it sets them up a little bit for later on. Yeah,
that egg's going to be back in 4 minutes, so it's going to be a nice little window to try and pick up another kill in the mid. And you see the synergy of the ults with Nocturne and Lulu. It works very well. You get that slow, but Skarner knows Balunu is low and low on mana, but he cannot actually pick up that kill. But here comes Shen, finding a Scorpion in the brush, forcing him to flash out from the tri-ramp area. A little bit harassed too there from Lulu, but will not grab the kill on the Skarner. He will actually get away. Nice burst of damage too on the Lulu there in the mid. Lulu does have the blue. Anivia does not. Grayton getting some damage here. Corki taking a little bit of harass. Missiles will not be hitting their mark. Also got to be very careful of those wild plants. Do not want to be poked out by those. Receive what damage. We've seen the damage they are capable of earlier in the series. Zyra support still hurts.
Yeah, no, the burst damage they have is really strong, but because Ezreal and Sona have a little bit of a lead, their harass is just too strong for them, and they're able to heal up with Sona. So Zyra can't be quite as aggressive as she would like to be, and Curse is actually going to be able to take this tower if they want to. I think they're holding off on it, so they're just going to use it to deny some of that farm. But we'll see. You know, it's very close to going down if they do decide to take it, but it will allow them to zone this lane a little bit more.
Cyanide has decided to buy an Oracle's, help out the team a little bit. Has Maluno bought one? No, he has not, but Skarner, the Impale is up. He's grabbing the small golems, waiting for the bot lane to push out a little bit. There may be an attempt there in just a second, but Maluno knows that there may be a gank incoming, so he's looking for the counter gank pretty soon. Enrage taking a whole bunch of damage, and there's the Zyra ult coming on in. Zyra does go down, but the Impale down onto Sona. Maluno is here, but there is the Shen ult coming on in. Down on Ezreal,
taking the turret.
Take the turret out. Yes, Maluno there. Ezreal coming on in. Cyanide getting feared. The Ignite will also take him out. Very well organized from Curse yet again.
Yeah, it looked like it was actually going to turn around against them because Shen ulted in on Ezreal, but Zyra had the pop-up just before Zyra went down, so it was a nice play.
That's a DFG.
Very close to going down, but trying to chase down XPK is able to force him back. XPK is out of mana, so Extinct knew he could pressure that. Yep. And it's a nice little gold lead for them once again, but it is leaving Soaz up to his own devices up top, which is kind of surprising considering the advantage that Shen had, that he's just allowing Soaz to farm.
Still 2K behind, but you did take out the tower, a little bit of global goal for the team, but Extinct also has a little bit of time for himself here in the mid. XPK, Anivia has 2 minutes left until the egg is up. As realized through during that last fight, Extinct now has a DFG, which actually synergizes really well with that Glitter Lance. You're going to be able to clear the distance and get that active off.
And it gives her a little bit more damage, which we had talked about is kind of one of the weaknesses of Lulu. Lulu does have a decent amount of damage, has some nice poke, but it's really not a lot of burst. So they're able to get the dragon, but it does help her out a lot in fights.
Nice positioning from Ezreal right over the ridge and Candy Panda. Valkyrie's into the middle of the pit. Cyanide goes down. That Oracle's is now lost. So as trying to do damage, but Luna will actually be able to provide him a little bit of a pity kill. And Davey goes down. The egg was not up. Rumble down. Enry had taunted in the bush. Candy Panda, the only one left remaining. And Curse, they're more than happy to just take the spoils from their jungle, push up mid here. 1 for 4 plus Dragon. That is a net of a 5-kill equivalent. And with this tower will actually be a 7-kill equivalent.
If Extinct wasn't actually zoned off, he was zoned off a little bit by the Zyra ultimate, he would have been able to ult Nocturne, and Nocturne probably wouldn't have died, and that would have been a full 3-for-0 exchange in their favor. But even so, Curse is playing this comp beautifully. They're taking such strong early advantages and just bullying around Fnatic in all of these fights.
The 18th minute and 8K lead. Curse is in an amazing situation at this point. You got the blue take from Cyanide, preventing the steal, but Angish is just too damn tanky. At this point, he will get the taunt over the wall. He will be fine. And just a missile in anger.
That is brutal, though. If Fnatic, they're just not going to have enough damage to take down Shen. Like, if you saw right there, he's just way too tanky at this point for them. And then you couple that with the shields. If he needs the shields, which he shouldn't, he's going to be able to just be as aggressive as he likes to be. So Fnatic, they really need to hold off and just, sit back, stall Curse whenever they can, get off some good ward coverage, and try and just farm. They need to farm their way back into this game.
And now Angish has gotten the critical second piece of the huge pushing tool for Shen, and that is either the Ionic Spark or the Wit's End, and that Wit's End is also going to provide a lot more magic resist for him in the middle of these fights. He's going to be even more tanky. And look at Soaz. Like, Soaz in his build, he's like, he just doesn't know what to spend his money on. He got a blasting one, didn't even finish the revolver. He's in shambles right now. Lucky pick. He needs a GP10 just to keep his gold income up.
And I'm surprised he didn't get it a lot sooner. I was expecting it to be an early
7K.
build, but because he skipped it, I assumed that he was going to go into a Haunting Guise maybe, because that's a really common item for Rumble. And with just Haunting Guise, you're going to have a lot of damage on Rumble, even if you're underfarmed, which he definitely was.
3K behind
but,
now.
I don't know. He's just kind of picking up, random items. I'm curious where he's going to go. I'm guessing he's going into a Rylai's, but
I think
we'll have to see.
I think he's actually trying for his own DFG. Like,
yeah,
otherwise he has no. He needs something to supplement the lacking damage on his Flame Spitter.
The issue is the DFG. It's going to put him in a really close position. He's going to be Rumble's a pretty squishy champion, so he's going to have to be playing right up front against Shen and against Nocturne. Otherwise, he's not going to deal enough damage.
He might just suicide it
in team fights. Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. So I hope he's happy with that.
Yeah, I hope so too, and I hope at least he can get a kill off something with the DFG and the ult, because that's pretty much all he's got at this point. Cyanide, DFG with a burst from Lulu. Of all people, he's already at a third just from emerging from that bush. That is huge.
Yeah, that really is a lot of single target burst damage. The only disadvantage for Lulu is now, all of her damage is down for 30 seconds, basically. The Glitter Lance, it will be very nice for poking in, but it's not a lot of damage just by the Glitter Lance. But the utility is that Lulu can just insta-kill almost one person and then has the shields to keep the rest of her team almost unkillable. And that's kind of what Curse is using to just bully around Fnatic. So as opposed to last game where Fnatic had an early advantage and they weren't able to press it home, Curse right now, they're just really aggressively pushing every small lead that they have.
Right now, Fnatic saw Extinct actually wander on in. They had an inkling he's over at the blue buff area, and they were right, he was there. But that was enough of a distraction for Fnatic to actually take their attention away from the top turret. Top tier 1 is down. Actually, all of the tier 1s are actually down for Fnatic. Curse, they only have their top tier 1 down. Soaz took that earlier when he had some time to himself to free farm. But as we've been mentioning, progressively as this game goes on, the gold between the Rumble and the Shen continue to widen the further this goes out. Nocturne has a nice lead over the Skarner. You got a K lead on Lulu over Anivia. You got more than 2K over Ezreal. List everyone is winning on Curse, period.
Yeah, they really have done a really nice job of pressuring their early advantages, but Curse is kind of in a dangerous situation right now. The ward just barely spots them off, so Extinct, he knows to get out of there. He's regrouping with Creaton, actually, so we'll see if they can try and force a fight bot.
Ezreal trying to get his push on here in bot. Candy Pan is not too far away, and here comes Cyanide. Impale is up. You got the DFG once again down on his corner, but there is the Zyra ult looking for a pop-up. Shen ult down onto Ezreal. Lulu's ult is still actually up, waiting for the right moment, but is very low, about 150 health. Here comes Sona for the backup too. Everything is fine. Everything's okay.
Ooh, but Rumble's chasing down Maluno. If he can get that, no, he's turning off of him to try and get back down bottom. The Arcane shift over the wall as Anivia is trying to pick him off, but Anivia will be able to stall that push.
Lulu is playing risky games at this point. About 200 health still remaining in this fight, but there's a lot of ults blown in that fight. Soaz still has his. Angus is down. Pretty much nearly every ult on Curse is down, except for the Sona ult, which is the critical one. But just going to write up with their losses, go back, recognize there's no kills, play it safe.
Yeah, with their gold advantages they have right now, they don't really have a very strong Baron team. It would be kind of difficult for them to take Baron. They'll have a lot of damage with Nocturne and Ezreal, but it would be kind of risky. So they're probably going to continue to push, just split off the lanes, and try and get advantages that way. So we'll kind of see where they go. The dragon is up, so they'll probably come in and take this pretty quickly. Since Nocturne has that wriggles, that'll be a pretty easy thing for them.
Super A's starting up on that dragon, waiting for the rest of the team. Will be able to finish up quite quickly because the rest of Fnatic is actually too occupied and too paranoid trying to secure their blue buff. Just a wall just to make sure that no one's coming in, just to try and steal it. That's the position Fnatic feels they're at right now. Ping's going down on XPK and they're in the mid. Their Ignice has got the blue buff. It looks pretty delicious. Extinct, can he get the Glitter Lance? There's a DFG to start. Already down very low. Zyra binds just to keep everyone behind. And there's Shen coming in from the side. XPK has been egged and cannot leave. Great kill from Curse. Blue buff passed on to Lulu. Not the best of situations.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely brutal because XPK, he needed the blue, but he needed to be alive so he could stall off. He was really their means of stalling the game. Corki can stall fairly easily, but they're just going to be able to bully right past Corki. Shen's probably tanky enough at this point that they could consider just tanking the turret some, take a couple of pot shots with the Lulu shield and get in there, but right now, it actually seems that Curse, they're not pressing this advantage while XPK is down, and that's kind of an interesting situation because even though they have a 10k gold lead, they're not quite comfortable to push in on turrets yet, so they're just kind of waiting until they're strong enough to just outright win the game.
Yeah, you see Molino is actually up here top lane.
Corki's going to go down bottom, though Ezreal, he gets the red buff, the Valkyrie gets out of there, so Lulu actually not able to get in, but it was really close to Candy Panda getting picked off by Lulu.
Now, Curse, you got a nice push here going up here top lane. Just want to try and keep that wave out. You got Greeton and Extinct here down in the bot lane, keeping some pressure down on the Corki. And Nivea is now back with the rest of the team. Sans blue buff, looking hungry, looking at Lulu, saying, "Hey, that is mine. I want it back. Give me my buff back." Angus here in the mid, getting his split push on all three lanes. All three lanes. Curse is putting a fair amount of pressure down. They're trying to split up, they're actually splitting up Fnatic fairly well. Cyanide having to back here, and Nivea out inside. XPK just grasping at strings, trying to make something happen, despite the fact that the rest of the team is just not there to really pick up on anything. Candy Panda getting very low here. Just, he cannot defend this forever. He just can't.
Yeah, I mean, his AoE clearing will allow him to stall pretty effectively, but if they decide to tower dive him, he's in a vulnerable situation. And you know, Curse, because they have control of the jungle, they have control of the whole map, they could consider, you know, tower dives like that in order to take advantages.
Also got great ward coverage actually coming in here from Curse also. It's fantastic, fantastically done.
But the biggest concern for Fnatic right now, they know they can stall off pretty effectively and try and farm. The biggest concern is if Curse tries to take any big objectives. So that's why they have the wards on Baron. That's about it. So they have some wards in their jungle as well. They don't want to allow Curse to be in their jungle and go for kills that way. But I don't know. I think it's going to be difficult for them to take down Anguish. That's their #1 concern, is the fact that having Anguish with how much health he has, Anivia is not going to do anything to him. 3K. Rumble's not going to do anything to him because if Rumble gets too close, Shen's just going to dive on him. And then it all comes down to Corki. And at this point, Corki doesn't have enough damage to kill Shen as quickly as they need him to.
Fnatic tried to pressure down the mid tower. Extinct there will still live off that. And Greeton with the shift, looking for damage here as Fnatic realizes that they're not going to make anything happen there. Meanwhile, Anguish is still here top lane, looking to push, and Candy Panda down bot. He's just farming. He's just trying to stay relevant in this game. But he's going to realize real quick that the rest of the objectives from the map are going to be pushed while he's off doing his own thing.
Well, that's all they can do is split push and farm. You know, they know that Anivia can just hold mid by herself. Anivia can basically 1v5 mid. But they need Soaz and Candy Panda to get farmed, so they're fine with them splitting.
XPK with the mana trying to clear those waves, and yes, Anivia is fantastic at clearing waves. Well, without that blue buff, lost it earlier, that mana is going to be drained so quickly. I don't even care if you have a Chalice or not. That's not a lot of mana to contend with on Anivia. It's like if you have that much pressure coming on in, that cannot be kept up forever. But now Curse, recognizing they know a few members of Fnatic did have the back, they're actually going to start up on this Baron. You have the Oracles. You do know it's clear.
Flashing for Candy Panda, trying to get the kill.
Forcing out the Summoner heal. That's that will actually still work. But Molino out here, right in the middle of the Baron pit. Fnatic, they're split, but they are actually still coming on up. Anguish right out in front, keeping Fnatic away, allowing the 3-man squad of Curse to take out Baron pretty convincingly, and they will grab it.
Yeah,
very well done.
And by Extinct actually chasing off Corki, it pulls Fnatic away. They're not going to have enough damage without Corki to fight that. So it was a really nice play by Curse in order to get that basically uncontested Baron. Just because they're so far ahead, Curse, you know, Fnatic didn't have any options there. So that's going to be huge. It's going to allow them to tank the turrets. You know, they're going to be able to use their shields, just walk up, tank the turrets for a couple of shots, slowly wear it down, and kind of ignore Anivia to an extent. They still don't want to get caught off by Anivia, but it'll allow you know, a little bit more damage to happen than would otherwise occur.
Yep. Ezreal still here, still pushing mid. The rest of the team did decide to back, want to beef up, want to buy some nice things for themselves. You got Lulu with the Nuclear Rod and the Haunting Guys. Going to be having the Death Cup here soon, but Cyanide here with the flash and the ult. Lulu with the Wild Growth actually keeping him very healthy. Wow.
That's brutal because that should have been a kill for Fnatic. I mean, Fnatic, if they can't get that to work, what can they
health.
do?
800 health at ult lives.
Now you see Anguish, he's fine with tanking the turret. He does get out of there because the Rumble ultimate goes down. Cynide's almost going to go down, and Maluno coming right into the turret. The Ezreal ult as well picks up Corki. Maluno, he's able to pick up the other kill, and they're able to bully in. This is going to be an inhibitor. This might even be game for Curse because we'll see how hard they're going to press it. Creaton coming over the side will be able to zone them off, but there's the Lulu, actually gets the Glitter Lance and the DFG. Soaz is so close to going down. The flash in from Anguish picks it up. 3 men down for Fnatic right now, and with such a goal disadvantage, I think Curse is going to be able to push the Nexus right here.
The Wild Nocturne does not give a damn. With the longest run, Nocturne just ulting right into the middle. The Nexus turrets are being pressured too much. There's only 2 members of Fnatic up. They cannot defend us with how weak they've been reduced this entire game. They are at a 16, 17k disadvantage. They fall under the pressure. Curse.EU will be your 4th EU team qualifying for IPL5. Fantastic.
And I have to imagine a resounding cheer is going off right now in the Curse offices. Hugh Bear, he has to be happy. Everyone over at Curse having 2 teams at IPL5 now.
Wonderful.
Big congratulations to them. So both Curse.NA and Curse.EU will be there, and neither of them were able to get into the Season 2 championships, but now they have their chance for redemption. They have their chance to prove that they are one of those top teams, and Curse.NA has been showing it for quite some time. Curse.EU, several months ago, they looked like one of the strongest teams in the EU scene, and they kind of fell off a little bit. They weren't quite having the success that they wanted to. They weren't quite able to, pull out the wins that they needed in major tournaments. But we'll see if they can do it now. I mean, it's against some of the best competition in the world.
Yep.
It's M5, CLG.EU. They're in it. TSM. A number of Asian teams. So this is it's an absolutely brutal tournament, and it gives both of them an opportunity to prove themselves.
So let's recap our 4 European teams who have qualified for IPL5. So we now have Curse.EU.
Yeah.
Moscow 5, CLG.EU, and Alternate. That is a star-studded lineup,
Alternate
dude. With
the highest ELO player in the world, FnaticRC.
Yeah. And keep in mind, these are only 2 of these 4 teams are this is like the EU is going to be such a threat.
Yeah, and
these guys are so strong.
It is going to be a very cool tournament series because we have group stages into a bracket, but no one is out after the group stages. If you lose in the group stages, you're only into the losers bracket. So that means that everyone is there's going to be a lot of matches. Everyone's going to have a lot of opportunities to play. To prove themselves against any number of teams across the world. But I don't know. We'll see how they can do it. Once again, guys, if you want to come to IPL5, IGN.com/IPL5. You can check out all of these teams. Check out your favorite teams. If you're a fan of Curse, you have to get over there. Both of the teams are going to be there. That's absolutely huge. Once again, giveaway tinyurl.com/TTEsports2.
Yes, take a look. That is the Draco headset. We've been using these here in the office. They're very comfortable. They're very slick. Look at that gold. Nice cushioning, very comfortable headset. Enter in for your chance to win this, courtesy of our friends over at Thermaltake, and we still got 2 more weeks of giveaways for them. And also tonight, the LoL Olympics continue.
Huzzah!
Legion versus Orbit in 4 hours, and then immediately after that, we're all hopping in a car and driving on down to Season 2 World Champs, and we will see you guys if you are there. It's going to be a fantastic time.
Yeah, we're really excited. That is the main thing for this entire week. We have the LoL Olympics. We're excited about that, but that's really to ramp you guys up for the Season 2 championships. That's what it's all about. Riot's major tournament. It's absolutely huge. I've heard that they're giving away skins on stream.
Yes.
So you guys all check out that, and it's going to be an exciting event. I'm really excited to go down there. I know you're excited. We're all excited. Hey, make some bets with your friends on who you think's going to win.
I already have people giving me crap for changing my summoner icon to the M5 logo. Already.
Oh, did you really?
Already.
Hey, they're a really good team.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good guys.
They're pretty good. I actually have them as one of my as my favorite for along with CLG.EU is getting out.
Same here. But hey, we'll see how that goes. We'll see you guys in 4 hours for the LoL Olympics. Thanks for tuning in. Congratulations once again to Curse.EU for our last qualifying EU team. And hey, thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys next time.